I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Jelpy and Ghosty.
We got a surprise for you guys. So we've got this awesome band, American Grimm, that they're up and coming. You guys really need to check them out. We actually did an interview with the lead singer of the band. We actually got in contact with him because, you know, when you do YouTube, you get connections. Mm-hmm. So we actually were able to really hang out with him and talk with him for a while. And so be on the lookout for that interview. Yeah. That's going to be available for everybody. But they've got a song titled Nightmare.
And that's the one we're doing.
Which is still not labeled.
So, yeah, I told you I'll do it later.
Okay, so we're pretty excited to hear this song. This is Nightmare by the band American Grimm. Let's do it.
And
now.
as always, straight dope here. We're going to give it a positive or negative review depending on how we see it.
For sure.
So, here we go. Ready?
If you want to know how to get your band featured for a whole day, meaning a song review / interview, hit us up at vinandsori@gmail.com and we will hit you up with the deets. Without further ado, we've got American Grimm Nightmare. Let's go.
Go.
Yikes. Yeah. Fun fact, the singer's girlfriend is the girl featured in the video.
Yeah. I think that will come out more in the interview later, right?
Yes. Yes, it will. Okay. So here are the lyrics. Something's crawling through my soul and I'm losing control, taking over my insides. Nothing left inside. Between you and I. Nothing left inside between you and I. Oh, yeah, one of those little lyric things. Mm-hmm. Can't believe I'm feeling awake, I can barely see. Never could I not stand on my feet, and I've been staying awake. There's something haunting me. All I know is breaking down, dismantle, rebuild. All I know is fading out, dismantle, rebuild. Forgive me for my sins. This is what you get for not being there for me. I have nothing left to hide. I'm guilty of telling the truth. My good side's left behind, always being abused. So it seems like there was something that happened, or a series of things that happened that have been bothering him. And part of the, whatever the system was, and he finally came out and said, nope, I'm gonna go and tell the truth, and if it dismantles our life, then it is what it is. I don't care.
But then at the same time, right here, forgive me for my sins. This is what you get for not being there for me. Right. So at first he's saying, like, forgive me for my sins. Then he puts the blame on her.
Well, why do you think it's a her?
Only because it's a guy singing. So I always assume, most everything boils down to a relationship with me.
Such a misogyny. Well, why can't it be, he might be talking to God? Ooh. That would make sense, right? Yeah. Forgive me for my sins, but this is what you get for not being there for me.
Yeah.
Right? So, when he says, something's crawling through my soul, I'm losing control. Where was it? Between you and I can't believe I'm feeling awake, I can barely see.
Yeah.
That's a pretty complex line. It's not immediately what you would think it is. He's saying, but between you and I can't believe I'm feeling awake, I can barely see. So he feels awake, but he can barely see. So he's in kind of a, that kind of middle ground, period where you're asleep but you're awake. But what's catching me is he's saying
the distance between them is that state.
Well, what's catching is that he's saying he feels like he's awake, which is really interesting because you generally don't hear a person say, I feel like I'm awake. You hear a person say, I feel tired, but you never hear a person say, I feel awake.
The only time people use those words is when they talk about sleep paralysis. Right. I feel like right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a pretty it was a line that was messing with my mind to. Well, I don't know too if what he's saying is when you feel like you feel like you're asleep and you're kind of numb all the time. I don't know if you've gone through phases like that, and it's not chemical related. It's just situations in your life or whatever can kind of make you feel kind of like you're in a fog, and he says, I can't believe I'm feeling awake. Maybe he's coming out of that. I don't know. Maybe he's coming out of that season, and so he's starting to feel awake. He's waking up. But then at the same time, because he's feeling awake, he recognizes the fact that he can barely see.
Never, and he uses a double negative here that's really interesting. Never could I not stand on my feet. Which means he always has to stand on his feet.
Right, that's why he says, and I've been staying awake. Oh, I thought it said standing awake.
I've been staying. So there's something haunting me. All I know is breaking down, dismantle, rebuild. But it could be God, it could be a girlfriend, it could be a family system issue. I know for me, occupying the place that I did in my family system, I was the troublemaker, yada, yada, yada. I remember one time there was this particular member of our family, we were watching wrestling one time, I'll never forget it, we were watching wrestling, and then this person comes downstairs, and then everybody stopped because this person brought all this tension. Yeah. And so I was like, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Let's just watch, hey, we're watching wrestling. What's the problem, guys? Because I was so angry about it. Why does everything have to be put on pause for this person? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you used to hang out with that person that used to do that.
No, it wasn't her.
Oh, I know it wasn't her that you're talking about. Yeah. I'm saying you used to hang out with somebody that would do the same thing in a room, and you'd react the same way. You just go bypass it and move on to...
It infuriated me.
Yeah.
And I felt like everybody was being
held hostage to that
held person. Hostage, blackmailed, enabling, whatever adjective you want to use. I just felt this is not a very manly thing to do. To just sit there and let one person just come in there and just, I don't know if it, but if that's what he's talking about, but I could never not stand on my feet. Of course, talking to him, you kind of get the insight into his mentality, you know, because he's got never give up on his tattoo. He's tattooed, never give up, and
right there,
he works in MMA and stuff. So it's kind of like all those guys are generally the same people. Like,
so you're not an individual to Vinny here. No, I'm sure that's not what you meant.
Yeah.
So he kind of has that feeling about him.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's got that, like, he's not gonna, you know, he's gonna stand up. And when you're that type of person, but then there are these things that you're not supposed to say, it becomes very difficult. My other members of my family, it's not necessarily a criticism, although at the time I was very critical of them, but now I kind of look back and I go, okay, well, it just depends on your constituency, you know, your constitution. Some people are just made for conflict, and if you like this guy, we know him a little bit. I can kind of relate to him on that level with the MMA stuff. Like some people are made for conflict, so they when those things happen, they feel like, why is everybody letting this happen? And we have to tell the truth, and we got to expose this, and yada yada yada. And then you have other people that are just like, yo, chill, like, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I used to have a family member used to say to me, all right, Vincent, great, but what have you accomplished?
Yeah.
Like, you just made it miserable for everybody else. If you would have just shut up.
Yeah.
Let her do whatever, and then go back upstairs, and we could have kept watching wrestling. But because you had to say something, now it turned into a giant, you know, jihad. And I was fine with it. I was fine with the jihad. I would rather that than just acquiesce to those types of...
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when you're that type of person, and you just let that stuff go, it gnaws at you. I remember I used to, like, look in the mirror and, like, say what I wanted to say.
Really?
Oh yeah, to this person.
To the mirror?
Oh yeah.
See, I've done it in my head.
Oh yeah, I would stand there and I would just say what, you know. And there was a point when I was like, you know what?
I didn't know that about you.
Oh yeah, there's a point I was like, you know what? I'm not. Next time that happens, I'm going in. I don't care. And so that's when she came down and I stopped, and then I was, you know, because it was just not. It was I don't want to say haunting, but it was gnawing at me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this.
I'm pretty sure it's in the Matrix, that line, like a splinter in the brain. Like, that to me describes so perfectly how I feel on certain topics, and that kind of sounds like it's like there, and it just won't leave you alone.
Well, you're like, we're both of us are middle children, so like we're kind of both like that. You know what I mean? Like, middle children are generally confrontational or whatever.
Yeah, everybody always would talk about how confrontational I was growing up. Why do you have to be like that? Why do you have to make everything uncomfortable? Blah, blah, blah. But
that's
then
why we get along.
It was
It's also why we fight. You are,
I would see the way that the whole family. Aren't you glad you decided to have us review your band?
Are you not entertained?
So yeah, like my whole family was kind of like that, you know, like there was there was one person that was always causing like kind of some conflict, and then everybody was kind of trying to cover it up, but some people were like, I can't live like this, and there was always like this, and I always saw that, and I always felt like, why don't you guys just say it out? Like, somebody just say something right in the middle. It would cut down the awkwardness if you just say it out. But, you know, certain family structures or personalities don't want that. They'd rather people just kind of be quiet and not really say too much. You know, it just depends on, you know, who you are. And maybe that's what he's talking about. I don't know. But he says, I'm living my life in a nightmare. I have nothing left to hide. I'm guilty of telling the truth.
My good side's left behind. Always being abused.
Yeah.
So there does come a time where you make that decision, because it's kind of like, no matter what I do anyway, if I'm being a good person, trying to be a good person, or these people's definition of good, it always gets taken advantage of. So what am I going to try for?
Yeah.
That was me, classical, you know, like, that's how I felt growing up. So maybe I'm projecting like the whole family lifestyle into this. But the whole concept of forgive me for my sins is something you kind of say to God, but it's also something you would say if you were part of a religious family or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
I'm not particularly. I don't think that's a good play to be like, well, my good side's always being abused, so screw it. I'm just gonna be bad. I don't think it's good, but I think it's human nature. And if you push somebody, you know, it's one of the principles I tell the kids, right? I say, you don't have to worry about a bad person flipping on you. What you have to worry about is a good person.
Yeah. If you turn someone that's for you against you.
Right. Or you turn a very, very patient person and you get to them at the end of their patience.
Yep.
Forget it. It's a bad situation. So I'm not saying it's good, and you know, probably you wouldn't say it's good, but it's just human nature. That's how it is.
People can only handle so much. I've said it a bunch of times. You know, I was under some real intense stress for a long time, and certain people kept pushing me, and I kept saying they're pushing me too much, and then all of a sudden I was over the edge with it, and it took me a while to come back.
Yeah. That line was crazy. It's just you and I here surrounded by our fears.
I know,
I'm brought to life. All I know is breaking down. Well, I just think that there was a time when it was a weird moment, but it was one of my favorite moments of all time that I've ever had. And it was...
Better involve me.
No. Had nothing to do with you.
God?
I was sitting there in a situation and I thought to myself, if I die, I'm dying for a good reason. And then I said, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of that. And I wasn't afraid. And I kind of crossed this threshold mentally where I stopped being afraid of dying.
Forever and all time?
Well, I just stopped being afraid of dying, you know, in the situation. And it was a very powerful moment where, like, I crossed over a certain type of threshold. So when he says, you know, it's just you and I here surrounded by our fears, but then he says, I'm brought to life, what I'm getting from that is the fear that kept him silent or whatever, he's done with it. So now he's brought to life because, and that's the thing is like in a lot of those systems, like I said, I don't know if this is a girlfriend or this is it might not be a girlfriend. He's still with his girlfriend, but I don't know if it's a girlfriend or family or whatever. And they all write lyrics together. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if, you know, what specifically he's talking about. But it just looks like, you know, the fear that keeps a person silent in those systems, and then the people who want you to be silent are also afraid. Like both sides are afraid.
Yep.
The offending party is afraid of the truth, and so they don't want it to come out because they don't know what's going to happen when the actual truth comes out. And then the other party is afraid of what they're going to do to them because they're telling the truth.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's a really pretty crazy conundrum. So once you jump over that threshold and you're no longer afraid anymore, it's a very empowering, relieving feeling.
Well, yeah, because
when you
if
get
you
rid
notice
of a major
that,
fear.
He said, it's just you and I here surrounded by our fears, and then he said, I'm brought to life, all I know is breaking down. So everything that he's ever known is now crumbling down, but he's being brought to life. Then he says, dismantle, rebuild. So yeah, you could be right. All I know is fading out, dismantle, rebuild. And yeah, so it could be that he has to face that stuff, and it has to tear it down and then rebuild.
Right. But I think the crux of the matter is, if you live in a lie, then you're living a nightmare, right? I'm living my life in a nightmare. If you tell the truth, it's interesting because the truth kind of functions like fire. You know, the truth has a destructive element to it, but it also has an element of, you know, a lot of times these forestry people will burn away certain areas and then it allows for new life. So, you know, the truth kind of functions like that. And that's one of the ways to tell the difference between truth and falsehood is that truth has, yes, it has a destructive element, but there's also always a redemptive element for a brighter future. Whereas a lie is always just going to be destructive. Or it will cover destruction in a lie when the destruction is consistently happening, but the lie is saying, oh, this is good, but it's complete destruction. The truth will destroy falsehood and then raise up, life as it should be. And so, that's kind of like the journey that you're going through in the song. And obviously there's a lot of production because that's what I do. I love Vin, that song has nothing to do with what you're talking about, you dumb butt. I gotta say, from a critical perspective, I really wish that there were more lyrics to explore in this concept, because I thought he was really onto something. I wish he had more lyrics so that we could kind of dig deeper into what happened. Okay, so now that you've told the truth and you deconstructed, like what happens after that? But of course, that's what the entire record is for, right? Where you. So that was something. I wish the song was a little bit longer, because the song was like 3 minutes something. So I would have liked that, but there you are.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. I liked musically, vocally. I liked what they did instrumentally. So I was a fan of this one. And it's always surprising to me when, something is, they're not big mainstream bands. They sound really good, and their music video is good. It doesn't look,
it was mega professional.
Yeah.
And they did all of it.
Yeah.
Like, we're a brave new world, man. You compare this video to a video you see on MTV like 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
This video was better. It's higher. It's something like you would, and there'd be all these sometimes they used to do like behind the scenes on MTV, like how we made this music video. Which that would be really cool if you guys did that, like on your next video also shot like a behind the scenes and all that. But anyway,
so it's a 9.2 for me. What are you going with?
I like a 9.4. It would have really. You know what I like? Some of this has to do with the escape routes. I like when you think you've heard a lyric or you seem like you've heard it before, but then the person does something and you realize you really haven't heard it before. So like the feeling awake thing, I really like that. The song's got to be. I wish the song was longer. So for me, it's a 9.3. It would have been higher because I thought that he had a really interesting angle. But good stuff and good acting on the. Some of this, like they had a little bit of an advantage because we can actually watch the official music video. So, I said, just make sure your label doesn't block art.
I know.
He's like, yeah, I'll help you out. So shout out to the big homie. So shout out to American Grim, much appreciated. 9.3 for me.
Yep, 9.2 for me.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
Taking over my